Well, today I drove the car all the way into Phoenix and we have an issue. It did amazing until about 10 miles before I got home. Transmission started to shift really hard and it was worrying me, and I stopped when I got home and the transmission was whining, and so I put about a quart of fluid in it since we changed the radiator last night and some came out, and it didn't change the whining or the hard firmness of the shift. So I let it cool down. I'm gonna start it now and see. Okay, that's a lot better. Maybe it was hot. Good morning, everyone. We are going to try emissions today, this morning. 7:38, 44 degrees. Brr, let's go. Well, try number 3 of the emissions was a success. We passed. It's about time. It only took me I think I had to drive around 200 some miles, and then everything checked out. It was like 8 or 9, maybe 10 cold starts, and we passed. Well, the transmission's doing that thing again. Watch. See if we can get a better view. Can hear it too. Oof. That's bad. Let's check under the hood. You can hear it too. You hear it? There's no lights. Sounds bad though, and it shifts bad through all the gears, like bam. But the weird thing is, when you shut it off and let it sit for like 5 minutes, turn it back on, it doesn't do it until you start driving a little bit. Then after like 5 minutes of driving, it does it again. So I don't know, I'm gonna do some research, but I'm gonna start with fluid and filter change. And maybe there's a solenoid going bad or something. I don't know, we'll see. I'll be doing some research. Alright, so these are the codes that we got whenever I would scan it, and it didn't initially turn up, like it didn't show a check engine light, but the second I scanned it, it showed up in there. So they're just like little hidden codes. I guess they're not a hard code as you would call it, but they were in there. So every time I would scan it, those would pop up and I could clear them, and then once the transmission would start to shift hard again, those would come back up. And every single one, some of them were weird in there, and I think it could have been from disconnecting the battery, and those haven't shown back up. But the transmission ones, those are the concerning ones. Severe cold start. It's about 30 degrees out here. I see my breath in the car. Let's see. Fire's right up. Lovely. I have this up on the ramps, and then I put jack stands in the back so I could do the transmission level. I unscrewed the little level check in the back and let the fluid come out till it was just a trickle, and then screwed it back in. Quite a bit came out, honestly. I'm gonna change the fluid anyway, so I didn't video it. So when I do that, I'll be videoing. But anyways, I was just inspecting. The reason I did this is because there's a leak dripping on the exhaust. I can't tell if it's from the transmission, like where the shaft goes into the transmission, that seal, or if it's coming all the way up from the power steering pump. I literally cannot find where it's coming from. So there's that. I thought maybe it was because the transmission might have been overfilled and it could have been pushing it out of seal. So I did that, and we'll see if it leaks. I need to clean it up. But I thought I'd also check the gas tank issue, where they said you would fill it up and it would pour gas out from underneath. So I thought, that's weird. And I tried it and nothing came out. I also couldn't fill it because every time I would put gas in, it would click off immediately, and I just have to do that until there was like enough gas to drive. So fullest I've got it was a little past 3/4 of a tank. This is the situation in here. This is all chewed up in here. And so I got underneath. I was looking. You'll never guess what I found. Here's the filler tube. It has this little tube going next to it that goes up to the filler area. But there's a tube missing. And I looked, and there's a little canister with the nipple just wide open. And then I looked up there, and there's a spot that's also wide open. So there's an entire tube missing. And then gas might be coming out of that up there. I'm not sure. You can't really get the camera in there to see it, but it's in there. So, junkyard, I guess. Try and find it. But that's interesting. I also need to take that apart and see if I can rebuild it up there. Looks like this might be where that tube leads to. Interesting. Okay, so I did a whole bunch of research on the hard shifting with the transmission, because then you'd shut it off for a couple minutes, turn it on, and it'd be perfectly fine. Then it would happen again. So I did the codes. So I looked it up, and it could be a whole bunch of different things, from a mass airflow sensor to the actual pressure valve in the transmission being bad. So I always think the worst, just because. So I looked at the thing in the transmission, and I found hardly any information on it. I even bought a Haynes manual, and it's not even in there, which actually made me really mad, but it's whatever. And I finally found info on it, and you have to take off the valve body cover, which isn't inside the oil pan for the transmission. It's on the side of the transmission, so I'd have to hoist the engine and take the mounts off and drop the subframe, I believe. So that would be a mess. So I thought, I'll just do the mass airflow sensor and see. And I did, and it hasn't came back yet, so. I also haven't driven it as much as I did when the problem started, but I got it full temp, full throttle pulls. It's just fine, so we'll see. I'm also gonna change the fluid and the filter and see if that helps at all. When I was inspecting it under here, I found it needs most likely both tie rod end links. If I'm gonna do one, I have to do both because that's how you do it. And it also needs the sway bar end links. I'll show you. Now the front end is a little loose. It has weird popping when you turn. But there's the tie rod end link boot, completely destroyed. And the sway bar end link right there, garbage. Up there, garbage. I haven't tested, but the ball joint seems good. Same situation over there. So that needs to be done. No leaks from the oil filter area. Changed that oil pressure sensor right there. Yeah, it's just all wet down here from old oil spillages. Yeah, the rest of the car looks fine. Definitely need to do the brakes. They're warped bad, and the pads are low. I also need to rotate the tires. I'll probably rotate the tires right now. Look at this suspension travel in the back. That's ridiculous. It's touching the ground, and I have it that high on the jack stand. Like, there's the front normal, same height, back's touching the ground. This one right here is a score. All 4 disc brakes were drilled and slotted. Look pretty new as well. Just a little bit of surface rust. No, hardly any lips. There's a tiny lip on the front of like the front brakes, but other than that, these are completely smooth. I call that a score. Look at this thing. That's awesome. Very clean. It's always interesting to me the cars in the junkyard. This little nice little Pontiac. Just random. Gotta love it. Especially when new parts do that. Here are our finds. The rotors, front and rear. This net thing in the back. The car I was looking at actually had the tray for the hatch so that nobody could see in the trunk, but it was wrong interior color and it was white and it would match that one. So sadly I didn't get it. And then I also got, let's see. Whoops. Don't let that happen. This trunk release switch, because the one in mine is glitching. And this little piece for the radiator support, because mine fell out. And this little cap for the radiator, because mine blew up last night. So that's our finds. It was $78 for all of this. See, that's pretty good. Can't see it, but I'll explain it. Looks like this, and it's capping off an extra thing on the radiator for a different model. And I think this broke. This is when I pulled off a junkyard car, so we'll see. Here we go. Took the headlight out. You can see it right there. There it is. Looks like it's dripping right from it. Okay, I do believe it was this. If you look, the seam is split. I squeezed it and coolant came out. Yeah, oh yeah, right there. See the crack? So yeah. This is so thin. I don't know what they were thinking. Really? It's a Duralast radiator. Alright, well that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I thought I'd throw this picture in there because it was kind of funny. It was the broken engine cover from the Jetta. Basically this was just like an update video, sort of like a vlog, just showing you some random things about the car and nothing that I could really make a whole video on. So I hope you all enjoyed it. We discovered that weird little transmission issue that hopefully the fluid change will sort. I have a feeling it's going to. Could just be dirty. I don't think it's ever been changed in the 170,000 miles it's been here. So yeah, we'll get into that, and then either the next video or the next video will possibly be the valve covers, doing the gaskets. That'll be a fun one. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. It helps me, and I feel like the channel is finally starting to grow. So thank you all so much, and I'll see you in the next one.